Hi there and welcome once again to the Train Aid HQ. My name is Nick and in today's video we are going to be looking at the Level 3 Certificate in Assessing Vocational Achievement, otherwise known as a CAVA qualification, and how to complete your very own vocational assessments. Please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive the latest updates and videos from the team. Now, many learners often ask us, what is the difference between vocational and workplace assessments? It's quite simple. Vocational assessments are conducted within a training setting or scenario, and this is where you, the assessor, are going to be assessing your learners' knowledge about a particular subject. Whereas workplace, on the other hand, is you assessing their skills. Okay, can they perform their day-to-day job roles? Okay, vocational assessments are often conducted within perhaps a training room, a classroom, and it's usually one-to-one between the assessor and the learner, whereas workplace is seeing them within their live workplace, their role, their industry, and this could see the learner interacting with customers and clients. Behind me we have a range of different industries and workplace and vocational examples. To pick one from the list, it could be hairdressing, and a workplace example would be the hairdresser cutting hair of a client or customer, whereas a vocational assessment example for hairdressing would be practicing cutting hair on a mannequin or model. So that is the difference between the two. Vocational is looking at a knowledge, where the workplace is looking more at practical skills. For the vocational pathway of the CAVA qualification, you need to be monitoring two learners or colleagues, and you have to plan 4 different vocational assessments. You do have to include 3 different assessment methods over those 4 different assessments. So you can choose from the following, such as simulations, skills tests, verbal and written questions, assignments, projects, case studies, and recognising prior learning as well. So any 3 from the list, but I'm going to talk to you more about assessment methods in our video. Now, in terms of monitoring your 2 learners and colleagues, you need to select 2 different vocational assessment scenarios. An example is behind me. We have 2 of our first aid trainers here at Train Aid. We have Brian and Tom, okay, very experienced within their fields. If I was to plan my 4 vocational assessments, I would have vocational 1 and 2 being the CPR practical. This is where the instructors are going to demonstrate their practical CPR skills. So I would observe Tom and Brian conducting a CPR assessment. After that, vocational 3 and 4, we will see Tom and Brian conducting a recovery position practical, so seeing how they perform the recovery position. Okay, and that is my 4 vocational assessments. So your 2 learners or colleagues will experience 2 vocational assessments each. Now, the next step, once you have your 4 vocational assessments in mind, is you need to start to plan your very own assessments. Please see our completed version of the vocational page. We have the candidate assessor, which is you, okay, and you will need to fill in details such as your name, the course location, so where you attended the course. If you're an online learner, just simply put distance or online learner. And we also have the dates when you created or started working on your assessments. At the bottom here, we have the assessment details. This is the person or learner that you are assessing. We need their name, the assessment location, so where it's going to take place, and also the assessment date as well. So that's very important. We also need for you to circle or highlight which vocational assessment this is. For example, we have vocation assessment number 2 there. Okay, so for your 4 assessments, we are looking to see the front page filled in with a variety of information. Now, the next step is your initial assessment. We need to find out information about your learner or colleague that you are conducting the assessment on. Here we have an initial assessment for Tom, so our first aid instructor. And we have a series of different questions that you need to fill out. So we need to find out about the experience of your learner or colleague. We need for you to describe the environment, so where the assessment is taking place. We need for you to describe the qualification and criteria. So what is the qualification and course, and what criteria are you measuring your assessment against? We also need for you to identify whether there are any additional needs or support for the learner, such as extra time, a reader or scribe. And after that, we need to establish whether or not there is a qualified assessor present. You can write no if there is not a qualified assessor, but please be mindful, one of your 8 assessments for the CAVA course will need to be observed by a qualified assessor. Once this initial assessment form is complete, you as a learner do need to sign and also date as well. Okay. After that, we are going to be looking at the assessment plan. Okay. Now this has a range of different details, such as the date of the planned assessment, the timings, the location where the assessment is taking place. Okay, and if there are any pre-assessment targets. So here, have you set perhaps your learner or your candidates any targets? It could be perhaps to read up on a first aid manual, for example. But we do need to see a planned activity, a date, times, and also location of the assessment there. Just at the bottom of our form, we have the assessment methods. Here we have the observation and also questions highlighted in our example. So please make sure that you highlight perhaps 2 or 3 different assessment methods. And we need to see signatures and the date just at the bottom of your learner who you are assessing, and also you as the assessor as well. Okay, so typed or electronic signatures are fine here. Do feel free to scan any documents as well. The very next step is your criteria. You need to be clear on what criteria or standards you are going to be assessing or judging your learner against. Here we have a CPR example, and we have the standards or criteria from the FAIB, which is the first aid industry body. Okay, as we can see here, we have criteria 4.1 and 4.2, and those are the standards that are going to be assessed against. Okay, please ensure you have a copy of your standards or criteria on your assessment plan. Okay, it doesn't have to be too detailed. My advice is to keep it simple, and that is an example of a criteria and the level of detail needed. Now, the next step is the observation or the assessment. As we can see in the picture behind me, we have the assessor, Billy, who is going to be observing our first aid trainer, Tom. Do watch this YouTube video to see how an observation is going to be carried out. Okay, now you as the assessor will have an observation and assessment report there. Okay, you have the details that you do need to fill in and the observation notes as well. This is very much writing what you see, okay? So looking at your learner, your assessor, your colleague, and see how they are carrying out the assessment, okay? So writing down the notes is very important here. On the right-hand side, we have the evidence reference. This relates to the criteria that we have established that you are going to be using. So everything that you do see, make sure that you are referencing it against your set of standards or criteria. Now, as we move on, after the observation, it's very important that you ask your learner a series of questions, okay, just to reaffirm their knowledge, okay. And behind me, we have a series of different questions relating to CPR. Please do look at our video again, where our assessor Billy is asking our instructor Tom a series of questions on CPR, okay. Do include a minimum of 4 different questions, okay, and I would like for you to write the answers that your learner has said to you, okay, so make sure that you're writing down their response, okay. The very next step is to ensure that you have photos on your assessment form. So as you are observing the assessment, we need to ensure that an assessment has taken place. So this are some examples of different photos taken from the observation that we have seen, okay. What we'd also like for you to do is to map the photos, okay, underneath our boxes of tables, okay. So 2, 3, 4 photos is fantastic here, just to see that an assessment has taken place. We need for you to map it and just to describe what is happening within the photos relating to your assessment. Underneath, we would like for you, the assessor, to sign, and also the learner, and to put the date in of the assessment. Now, after the observation and after you have asked questions, it's a very important stage. We have the feedback stage. As you can see from this photo, that the feedback is happening within perhaps a private room, okay? And this should be as soon as possible after the assessment, so the actual assessment experience is still fresh for the learner and the assessor, okay? It's very important for you as the assessor to let the learner know if they've passed straight away or if it's a reassessment. Do talk about the strengths of the assessment first, then talk about the areas for development, and then an action plan as well, okay? Your assessor comments need to be written within this box as well, okay? So a paragraph of information is sufficient here, okay? And do get your learner to write in feedback. How do they think the assessment went for them? What could be improved? And you could take that on board as an assessor. Action plan or SMART targets are very important here. So you, as the assessor, could perhaps come up with some agreed goals for your learner, okay? But it's very important that you both sign the document so that you are both happy with the assessment. And that's it in today's video. So that is an example of a vocational assessment, otherwise known as a training assessment, and you have to carry out 4 of those. We would like to receive a plan if it's your first assessment. Do send a plan to our team at info@train-aid.co.uk. That is our support. And please give us a call if you would like to discuss your assessment. For any completed assessment, please send it into the team at assessments@train-aid.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching, and just remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing you on one of our courses.